Recording in progress.
So, okay. So, okay. So what we are, so here, so in the last class, we have seen function with the parameters or arguments. So functions with the parameters. See, without parameters, it will not receive any values. Okay. Without parameters or without arguments, it will not receive any values. But if you want to receive, if a function should receive values, then you write a function with arguments or function with the parameters. So function without arguments doesn't receive values at the time of calling the function or invoking function. But function with arguments receive values at the time of calling or invoking function. So Python allows to write a function with a Python allows to write a function with the different types of arguments. One is required positional arguments, and second one is default arguments or optional arguments, and third one is variable length arguments, and fourth one is a keyword arguments, right? Then I said, what is a local variable? Okay, so a variable declared inside a function is called local variables, and these variables are accessed within function but cannot access where outside. Okay, the scope of this variable is within the function. Then I said required positional arguments. So required arguments required values at the time of invoking or calling function. If you don't give the values to these arguments, okay, so Python gives what here? Error. Python gives a error. Okay. And after that, I said a function on not only receive values, a function not only receive values, it is also written value. But how a function returns a value by using which keyword? Return keyword. So return is a branching statement or process control statement. So a function returns a value to the caller or calling function using return keyword. So after returning value, function execution is what? Terminate. After returning, will it continue or terminates the execution of function? But a function returns only one value. But in order to return more than one value, you have to put those values within one collection. Okay. So let us see. Let us see some examples, some more examples of these functions. Now you should know how to write a function here, right? So you are writing a function by using the keyword called def. Def is a keyword used for writing function. Okay. For example, I am writing one function called isEven. Okay, isEven is a function, and this function receive one value. What is the value to receive? Number. Okay, it will receive how many values here? One value or two values? One value. Now this is which argument here? Required argument. Okay, and here you are just returning one value. Return number mod 2 double equal to 0. So, so here I'm using which operator? Relational operator. Now this will return Boolean value. Suppose if the number is given, suppose if the input number is some 4. Okay, 4 mod Okay, 4 mod 2. What is a 4 mod 2? Remainder is 0. And is it 0 equal to 0? Yes. Then what is the value written? True. Ring on. So it will return the value called which one? True. So this is a function to find whether given number is even or not. Even or not. Okay. So if it is even, it returns true. If it is not even, it returns false. For example, is odd is a function. Okay, return. Okay, number mod 2. Okay, number mod 2 not equal to 0. So if the number is odd number, then it returns true. Otherwise, it will return false. For example, there is a function called factorial. Is a function which receives the number. This is to find the factorial of a number. So this will receive one number and find the factorial. Okay, so how can I find the factorial? Now, if the number is 0, 0 factorial is what? 1. 0 factorial is 1. Then you are using for I in range of 1 comma number plus 1. So factorial equal to factorial into what is this here? Number. Okay, sorry. Factorial into what here? I. So here, for example, my number is a 3. Then 1 into 2 into, okay, 3. The result is what here? 6. Okay, suppose now that is range of 1 comma number plus 1 means. So this range will generate how many values? 1 comma number plus 1, which is nothing but 1, 2, and one more value is a 3. So factorial equal to factorial into what here? I. Is nothing but fact into minus 1 into 1 is a 1. Then 1 into 2 is what here? 2. And 2 into 3 is a 6. Okay. So functions are reusable. Means once you write a function, so that function can be used either one time or more than one time. So even I'm writing all my executable statements, even I'm writing all my executable statements inside one function called main. Okay, I write one more function, and what is the name of the function? Main. So for example, in C language, okay, in C or Java, what do you do it? You start writing your program. For example, if it is C language, how you start writing a program in C language? Okay, you write like this void main. Okay, then you'll say printf. Okay, printf hello. So there is a message called which one? C. This is how you are writing a program in which language? C language, right? Okay, now this is in C language. So what is the message you are displaying here? Hello, C. It means whenever you run the program, your program execution is done by calling which function? Main. In the same way, if you are working with a Java, in Java you write like this, class demo some, so public static void main, public static void main, and string arguments. Okay. Then after that, I'm saying system dot out dot println. So I'm trying to display the message. What is the message? Hello Java, right? So whenever you run this class, your class is executed calling which one? Main. So it means here main is called as an entry point. Okay, main is called as entry point of your program execution. Main is called as an entry point of your program execution. This is entry point and this is also exit point. Your program execution starts from main and execution end from main. But in Python, is it any function called main? No. There's no function called which one? Main. But main is created by whom? Python itself. Main is created by Python itself. Instead of that, I'm writing my own function. What is my function name here? Main. See, without main also you can write it. You can directly say, for example, I want to find out is it number is a even or not. Then I'll say is even. I input the value called 6. Now this is called as which statement? Executable statement. Okay, now this is called as an executable statement. But writing function is executing function? No. So writing function is not executing function. When you write a function, function is not executed. Okay, when the function is executed, when you call. So calling means executing, right? Invoking as one executable statement. What is executable statement is the statement which is reachable to the Python virtual machine. The statement which is reachable to the Python virtual machine. Okay, that statement is called as which statement? Executable statements. So this is called as an executable statement. This you can call it as main. This is a main program from where my program execution is start. So this is a main program from where my program execution is start. So there is a result 1 and there is a result 2. I'm saying is odd. I try to input the value 7. Okay, result 3. Okay, there is a function called which one? Factorial. So I want to know the factorial of which one? 4. Okay, so after that, I try to print. So result 1, result 2, and result 3. But how many functions I have written here? 3 functions. One is to find whether number is even or not. One is a function to find whether number is odd number or not. One is a function to find the factorial of input number. Okay, finding the factorial of input number. Is it number is even or not? Is it number is odd or not? Like that. Okay. Yes. So once you run this, now you can see the true and one is a true and one more is what? 24. But instead of writing these statements as an individual statements here, all these statements are individual or not? Yes. So I don't want to write these statements, all executable statements individually. So I'm writing my own function. What is the name of the function? Main. Inside this main, okay, inside this main, I'm including the statements like is even, is odd, factorial, and all things. Right now, this is a function called which one? Main. So how many executable statements are there now? Only one. It means your program execution is done by calling which function? Main. And in main function, you have all programming logic or not? Yes. Whatever operations performed by your program, whichever operations performed by your program, so that operations are included inside which function? Main function. Whichever operations performed by your program, so that operations are there inside which function? Main function. This is main function, right? In which all the statements are included. Okay, so then from here it will call the function. Which function is called is even, by sending the value called 6. 6 mod 2, remainder is what here? 0. Is it 0 equal to 0? Yes. So what is the values assigned to this variable? True. So I said, whenever function returns a value, whenever function returns value, that function should be assigned to one variable. It is just like expression. Suppose a plus b, the result is assigned to which variable? Some say like this. In the same way, is even is also returning the value of this expression or not? Yes. So that is number mod 2 double equal to 0. What is the value? True. And this true value is returned by which function? Is even. And that true value is assigned to which variable? Result 1. The value true is assigned to the result 1. In the same way, you are calling the function called is odd. And by sending the value called 7. And 7 mod 2 is not equal to 0. Yes. Okay, then it will return one value. What is the value? True. And this true is assigned to which variable? Result 2. So I send the number called 4. Okay. So 4 factorial. What is the value of factorial? 24. And this 24 is assigned to a variable called which one? Result 3. result 3. Now you should know how to write a function, because you develop a project by dividing your programming logic into a number of functions. Now see here. So there is a true and values which one? 24. You can write any number of functions. Okay now. So based on your application requirement, you may write either one function, you may write either one function, or you may write either more than one function. Okay. Yes. But this function is with which arguments? Required arguments. So required arguments, required values. Suppose if I am not giving value, now suppose I just write is even, but is even is having how many arguments? One argument. So I must give the value for number or not? Yes. If I don't give the value for this number, is it this function is invoked or not? Not. So it gives an error. Now you can see there is an error. Where is the error in main function in line number some 14? Type error is even missing one required positional argument. Which argument is missing? Number is missing. So I must give the value for the number or not? Yes. So required, if the function is having required argument, you must give the value. If you don't give the value, then it gives what here? Error. But there is one more type of argument you have. There's one more type of argument you have. And what is that argument is? Okay. Default argument or okay, optional argument. So there is one more argument is there. And what is that argument is? Default argument. Default argument, or the same thing is called as which argument? Optional argument. Default argument or optional argument. So default. Now default means if you don't give any value, then it takes which value? Default value. The best example is, for example, there are so many functions out there which takes default values. For example, if you see the print function is there. So what is the value of separator argument? Space. If I don't give the separator to the printer, what is the default separator it uses? Space. If I don't give the END value, what is the default END value it use? \n. If I don't give the file, it will take the default file. If I don't give the flush, it will take the default flush value as what? False. So default means the argument is created with value. If the value is not given to this argument, it assigns which value? Default value. For example, if you take one function called sorted function is there. In sorted function, what is the default order here? Ascending order. What is the value of reverse argument? False. What is the value of key argument? None. What is the first argument? Iterable. Iterable means collection or not? Yes. So default means if the value is not given to this argument, then it assigns the value which is defined at the time of writing function. Okay. If the value is not given, okay, it takes a value which is given at the time of writing the function. The value which is given at the time of writing the function, okay, so that argument is called which argument? Default argument or optional argument. Okay, so optional argument. Why this default or optional arguments are introduced is when it comes to Python, you cannot write more than one function with the same name. Okay, now you can write one function with one name only once. So there is no concept like function overloading. Like when you're working with C++, if you are working with the Java, you find a concept called which one? Function overloading. Means you write more than one function with the same name, but with number of arguments. Okay, by changing arguments and argument types. But here no, because Python is a dynamically typed language. Okay, now. So there is no function overloading. Suppose I write one function, function one with one argument called a. Now this is a function with how many arguments here? One argument. This is a function with one argument. I write another function called again function one only. Again I write a function one only, but with how many arguments here? Two arguments. Now how many functions are there now? Is it two functions are there or only one? Only one. So first function, if you take first function is old function, this old function is replaced with what? New function. Suppose in C++, how many functions are there means you can say two functions are there. One is function one with one argument. One is function one with two arguments. If you are working with a Java, you can say there is two functions because one function one with a one argument and one function with what? Two arguments. But here, how many functions are visible now? Only one function is visible. Which function is visible? The function with two arguments. Can I call? Suppose if I'm saying function one by sending one value, will it call the function one of one argument? No, no, because this function is replaced by which function? New function. New function. So there is only one function is available now. There is only one function is available here. Function one missing one required positional argument. What is that argument is missing? B is missing. B is missing because is it called the first one or second one? Second one. So this function is replaced. Getting on. So you write more than one function with the same name? Yes, but you can write more than one function with the same name. When you write more than one function with the same name, which function is visible? Last function is visible. Last function is replaced by the which function? Old function. Going on. So function one with one argument is not available. Function one with how many arguments are available? Two arguments. Okay. Yes. But if you are working with the Java, two functions are available. I can call the function one by sending one value. I can call the function one by sending two values. That is called function overloading. But here you don't have any concept called function overloading. Going on. Not only that, you are not writing a function with the arguments with the type. For example, if you are working with the languages like C, you will say integer A. Okay, so the argument is declared with a type or not? Yes. Variables are created with a type, but here is it created a? No, because Python is dynamically typed. Type is taken based on what? Value. Okay, so every function what you write is a generic function. Can you call this function by sending any type of values or not? Yes. Okay, I can call this function one by sending float value. I can call this function one by sending which value? String value. Okay, I can call this function one by sending string value. I can call this function one by sending any type of values. Now suppose 1 plus 2j comma 1.2, any type of values I can send it. Okay, so because is it variables or with the type or without type? Without a type. So every function what you write in Python is which function? Okay, is which function? Generic function. It is a generic function, means a function which can receive any type of values. Now you can see two arguments, two arguments, two arguments, and one more is a two arguments. Okay, so you can write more than one function with the same name. But when you write more than one function with the same name, the old function is replaced with what? New function. Okay, old function is replaced with the new function. Only one function is visible, but not the two functions here, right? So there is a two argument, and two argument here, right? So this is how you are writing it. Okay. Then what is why we have to go for function with the default arguments? Okay, one reason is I said, you don't have a concept called which one function overloading. You don't have a concept called function overloading, right? So because of that, you may write one operation. Okay, you may to solve one problem, you may write the same function more than one time. For example, my application required to find out my application required to calculate which one simple interest. Very basic example. My application required to find what here simple interest. For finding the simple interest, the inputs required is amount, rate, and time, right? So you are writing one function. Okay, you are writing one function called some simple interest. Okay, simple interest. Okay, one. What is the name of this function? Simple interest one. Now this function will find a simple interest. Okay, by taking default rate. Default rate means user will not give the rate, but it takes the rate is given inside function. Okay, user will not give any input called rate, but the rate is given within the function. So this function will receive how many values? Only two values. One is a amount and one more is which one? Time. But where is the rate? The rate is given within the function. Okay. So if the rate is given within the function, now this rate is fixed or not? Yes, fixed rate. This is calculating simple interest with the fixed rate. What is a fixed rate? 1.5. So the user can input how many values? Only two values. One is amount and one more is a time. So then what you have to do? You have to calculate the interest. You have to calculate the simple interest equal to some amount into, okay, time into rate divided by 100. After calculating the simple interest, you are returning the value. So what is the value written here? Simple interest, right? So this will receive how many values here? Two values. First value is amount and second value is a time. But this will calculate the simple interest with what? Fixed rate. This will calculate the simple interest with what? Fixed rate. Now, sometimes I may calculate the simple interest with a variable rate. Variable means I give the rate. I may find the simple interest by giving rate of interest as some 2.0 or 1.8 or 2.5 like that. Now, is it this function will work or doesn't work? Doesn't work because this will work only for which interest? Fixed rate of interest. But I want to calculate even sometimes variable rate of interest. Then I'll go for a definition. I'll write one more function here. And what is the name of this function? Simple interest. What is the name of this function? Simple interest. And this will receive amount of time as well as what? Rate. Now this is with the fixed rate. Here you cannot give the rate, but here you can give the rate. Okay. Yes. So here what I'm doing, I'm trying to calculate the simple interest by giving amount into, okay, time into rate divided by what here? 100. Then return which value? Simple interest. So here, how many functions I have written for calculating the simple interest? Two functions. Because my application required two types of calculating simple interest. One is fixed rate and one more is variable rate. My application required to calculate the simple interest in two ways. One is fixed rate and one more is what? Variable rate. Then I write how many functions here? Two functions. But operation of this both the functions are what? Same. Operation of this both the functions are same, but only changing. Only one thing is changing. What is that? This is having how many arguments? Two arguments. And this is having how many arguments? Three arguments. Okay, one argument value is given inside what? One argument value is given inside what? Function. One argument value is given inside function. Now, instead of writing two functions, what will I do is I try to pair. Now, it means in this case, is it a code redundancy is there or not? Yes, same code you write again and again. Same code you have written again and again. Okay, instead of writing the same code again and again, what do you do it? Instead of writing two functions, what do you do it? You write only one function. And what is the name of this function? Simple interest. Simple interest which receive amount, and it will receive what? Time. If you don't give the rate, then take the default rate as what? 1.5. If you don't give the rate, give the default rate as 1.5. So it means this function this function perform how many functions operation? Two functions. So it will calculate the fixed rate, and it also calculate which one? Variable rate. If I don't give the rate, what is the default rate it takes? 1.5. If I give the rate, then which rate is taken? The rate which is given by the programmer. The rate which is given by the programmer, right? So here you calculate amount into time into rate divided by what? 100. So written, what you written here? Simple interest. So this two functions operation is performed by how many functions here? Only one function. Two functions operation is performed by how many functions here? Only one function. Okay. So yes. Okay. So how you write default arguments here? Default arguments are optional arguments. Okay. So what is a default argument? An argument given value, an argument, an argument given value at the time of, at the time of, at the time of what here? Defining, at the time of defining function is called which argument here? Default argument. Okay. This argument value is given at the time of writing the function. Okay. So that argument is called default argument. If the value, if value is not given, if default value, if default argument value, if default argument value is not given at the time of, at the time of invoking function, default argument value is not given at the time of invoking or executing function, executing function, what will happen? PVM assign which value? Default value. If default argument is given, if default argument value is given at the time of, at the time of, at the time of, at the time of invoking, at the time of invoking or calling function, so it assign which value? Input value. It assign which value? Input value. If you don't give the value to the default argument, PVM assign which value? Default value. If default argument value is given at the time of invoking or calling function, it assigns which value? Input value, right? So what is the syntax here? The syntax is like this. How you are writing it? Now you are writing a function with a keyword. What is the keyword you are using? Def, and it followed by function name. Okay, function name, and then you define what here? Arguments. Argument 1 is required argument. Argument 2 is required argument. Yes. Argument 2 is a required argument. Argument 3 equal to, argument 3 equal to which one? Value. Then argument 4 equal to which one? Value. So here argument 1, argument 2 are called which arguments? Argument 1, argument 2 are which arguments? Required arguments. And argument 3 and argument 2 are argument 4 are called which arguments? Default arguments, because these arguments are given values. Okay, now these arguments are given values. Okay, always you define the default arguments from right to left. Okay, so there is a rule for writing default arguments. So without making first argument as a default, you cannot make the second as what? Default. So it means always the required arguments follows which one? Default argument. You should not write first default arguments and then required arguments. You cannot write first default arguments and then what? Required arguments. First you have to write which arguments? Required arguments and then followed by default arguments. Okay, that is a rule. That is a rule which you have to remember here. So this will avoid the code redundancy. Okay, yes, this will avoid the code redundancy here. Okay, this is the situation when you have to go for which arguments here? Default arguments. Okay, right now there is a function here. Okay, so what is the name of the function is? Function 1 is there. So function 1 a comma b, b equal to some 0 or b equal to 10 and c equal to what here? 20. Now this function is having how many arguments? 3 arguments are there. So I can call this function how many ways? 3 ways I can call it. Okay, by sending one value, by sending two values, by sending three values. Okay, but one argument is required. Which one is required? A. A value must be given. So when I call the function 1, I call the function 1 by sending 100. Okay, now. So 100 is a value of function 1 called by sending 100. 100 is a value of which one? A. 100 is a value of A. 100 is a value of A. Okay. Then what is the value of B? 10. What is the value of C? 20. Okay. Not given value for B and C here. Okay. Then again I call the function 1. Again I call the function 1 by giving 1000 and 2000. Then because this first argument is required, right? What is the argument required? A value. So what is the value of A here? 1000. Then what is the value of B? 2000. Then value of C is what? 20. The value of C will be a 20 here, right? So the value of C is a 20. Now once you run this, 1000, 2000 and one more is what? 20. I can call this function 1 by giving value of A is 1, value of B is a 2, the value of C is what here? 3. So I've given value for A and given value for B and given value for C. Okay. So the value of A is 1 and the value of B is 2 and the value of C is what? 3. I call the function 1, but A value must be given. The value of A is given 88 and the value of C is given 99. But C value is given because I don't want to give the value for which one? B. Then you can give with what name? Argument name. You can give with what name here? Argument name. So the value of C is given what here? 99. Okay. So once you run this, the value of A is 88 and the value of B is what now? 10. Because value of B is given a no. But only the value of C is given and the value of C is what here? 99. Okay, now but the value of A is required. Value of A is required, but B and C are what here? Default. So you can write now function 2 is there. Now the value of X is 0. The value of X is 0 and the value of Y are just given like this. Can you write function like this? No, I cannot write function like this. Because first you have to write which argument? Required. Second, you have to write which argument? Default. But first you have written which argument? Default. Okay, if I run this, immediately it is given which error? Syntax error. Okay, Non-default argument follows. Which argument? Default argument. Is it this is allowed or not allowed? Not allowed. Getting on. So it is given error. So I make this one as what here? Default. So now I can call this function too without sending any values. Then if I'm not sending any values, the value of x will be 0 and the value of y is also what? 0, right? I can call the function too by giving only y value. What is the value of y is given? 100. Then x value is what? 0. I can call the function too by giving only x value, but without giving which value? Y value. Okay, right. But whenever you write a function, you have to follow this rule. Like first you have to write required, then default. But you cannot write first default and then required. Okay, yes. If you see this particular example, just to see here again, if you see this example, so one function perform multiple operations. One function performs multiple operations. So I'll tell you one more example also. Now here, simple interest equal to amount into, okay, time into rate divided by 100 and return simple interest. So I can call this function simple interest. Okay, simple interest now result 1. So I'm calling the function called which one? Simple interest. Okay, by sending the amount and time, but are you given, sorry, sending the amount and time, but are you given rate of interest? No. Then it takes the default rate of interest as what? 1.5. It takes the default rate of interest as 1.5. Then simple interest. Okay, simple interest. I have given 8,000. This is the amount. Okay. So then 20 is the time. Time is also required. And I just give the rate of interest as 1.8. Now, what is the value for 1.8? Okay. So this function work like a 2 argument as well as 3 argument. Okay. Simple interest. Okay. Simple interest is I print the result 1 with some 2 decimal places. So print format. Okay. Simple interest is I print the result 2 with how many decimal places? 2 decimal places. Then I call only one function. Which function I called main? Because where you are writing the operations of your program in main. So main is an entry point of your program. Yes. But main is a predefined or user defined user defined. Any function you write is called as which function? User defined. So now simple interest is 900.00 and 2, right? Okay. So more than one, okay, one function is having multiple logics. Okay, one based on the value what you input, you want to execute the logic. Based on the value what you input, you want to execute the logic. Then how you do that is based on the logic. Based on the logic what you write it. For example, see here. Now, for example, there is a, see, I'm trying to develop this clone of sort. So what is the name of the function? Sort is there. Sort will receive one list. Okay, I want to sort the list. Okay, now this will receive one list. What is the name of the list here? A. Okay, it will receive one list. And what is the name of this list here? A. A is the name of the list. Okay, A is the name of the list, right? It will receive one list. And what is the name of the list here? A. Comma. Okay. Now this sort function should sort the list either in ascending order or in descending order. Okay. It means within same function, I should write how many logics? Two logics I should write. I should write two logics, but based on order. Based on the order, you should execute only one logic. For example, order. I said order equal to, I'm just writing here, which order here? Ascending. So what is the default order? If you don't give the order, then what is the default order? Ascending. Okay. So suppose if you give the order as which one? Descending, then it should change. It should sort the elements in which order? Descending order. It means one function is having how many operations? Two operations are there. One is ascending logic is there, descending logic is there, but based on the order you execute only one logic. Suppose if default is not there, if default is not there, I should write how many sort functions? Two sort functions. One is a sort function for which order? Ascending order. One is a sort function for which order? Descending order. Okay. Instead of writing two functions, I'm writing only one function, but one logic is on, one logic is off. Based on which one? The value of, based on the value of which one? Order. Okay. So if order equal to which one? Ascending. Then you have to sort these elements in which order? Ascending order. So order, sorting logic. I think we have seen sorting logic, right? Which sorting here? So there is one algorithm. What is that algorithm? Bubble sort. So this bubble sort is also called which sort here? Exchange sort. So where you compare adjacent elements. Suppose my list is having some 5, okay, 5, 2, okay, 3, and 4, and one more is value is a 1. So I want to sort these elements in which order? Ascending order. So there are so many sorting techniques are there, and within this one technique is which technique? Bubble sort. So this bubble sort is also called which sort here? Exchange sort. So where you compare adjacent elements. What do you compare here? Adjacent elements. Adjacent elements means you compare the first element with what? Second element. Is it 5 is greater than 2? Yes. What do you do it? Swap it. This will become 2 and this will become what here? 5. Okay, then next my list will be like this. Okay, then again you compare 5 with what again? 3. Is it 5 is greater than 3? Yes. Swap it. Now 2, 3, and then 5, and this is 4 and 1. Then 5 is greater than what here? 4. Interchange it. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 5 and 1. 5 is greater than 1 or not? Yes. So 2, 3, 4, 1 and 5. So in one iteration, how many elements are sorted? One element is sorted. You are comparing adjacent elements, means you write the logic like this. For some j in for j in range of total how many elements are there? 5 elements are there. Okay, so range of 0 comma 0 comma I said what here? 4. 0 comma 4. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3. But 4 is included? No. Why? Because you are comparing if a of if a of j is greater than, if a of j is greater than a of j plus 1. What is j value? 0. If a of 0 is greater than a of 1, what you are doing? Interchange it. Interchanging, swapping. A of j comma a of j plus 1 equal to what do you write? A of j plus 1 comma a of j. So this is interchanging. If a of 0 is greater than a of 1, you are saying a of 0 comma a of 1 equal to a of 1 comma a of 0. Then next j value becomes 1. A of 1 is compared with what? A of 2. Next j value becomes 2. A of 2 is compared with what? A of 3. Next j value becomes 3. A of 3 is compared with what? A of 4. If it is greater than, this both will be interchanged. But in one iteration, how many elements will be sorted? Only one. Now to sort these 5 elements, this logic should be repeated how many times? 5 times. Then this for loop you write inside, this for loop you write inside another for loop. So for I in range of total how many elements are there? 5. Okay, because in one iteration, how many elements will be sorted? Only one. See, only one element is sorted. Then again you have to compare 2 with the 3, 3 with the 4 and 4 with the 1. Again you have to compare 2 with the 3, 3 with what? 4. Then you have to repeat this logic how many times? Number of times. That is number of elements. So total number of elements, if it is 5, then you have to repeat this logic how many times? 5 times. Okay. Yes. What do you do it if it is ascending order? What do you do it? You will say for I in range of length of which one? A. So because A is iterable, for J in range of length of A minus 1. So what is the start value? 0 and length of A minus 1. If A of J is greater than A of J plus 1, A of J is greater than A of J plus 1, then A of J plus 1 comma A of J, sorry, A of J comma A of J plus 1 equal to A of J plus 1 comma A of J. This is a logic for which order? Ascending order. Else if order double equal to which order? So descending order. So descending order. Same in the place of greater than, you have to write less than. So for I in range of length of which one? A. Okay. So for J in range of length of A minus 1. If A of J is less than, if A of J is less than A of J plus 1, what do you have to do? You have to interchange by saying A of J comma A of J plus 1 equal to A of J plus 1 comma A of J, right? Yeah, this is swapping it. So how many logics are there here? 2 logics. One is ascending logic and one more is what? Descending logic. But this logic is executed based on which one? Order. This logic get executed based on the order here. So this is a function main where I am writing my main logic. So whenever you call the function in Python by sending object, it doesn't send the object. So Python doesn't support pass by value. So Python support only pass by reference. Reference means what here? Address. So whenever you call the function, for example, I created one list. So this list is having some values. Now like this, some values are there inside this list. Okay, some values are there inside this list. Okay. Now I want to sort these elements. Then what will I do? I'll say sort. I call the function sort. I'm calling the function sort by sending list 1. What will happen? Will it send the list 1 or address of list 1? Will it send the list 1 or address of list 1? Address of list 1. Okay, this list 1 is a local, right? This list 1 is a local variable or not? Yes. So whenever you say sort list 1, the list 1 address, what I meant to say is, there is a list 1 is created. There is a list 1 is created within the main function. And this list 1 is having address. This list 1 is having address of which one? List. Okay. Assume that address of this list is what here? 1000. When I say sort list 1, what it is sending? Is it list object is sending or list object address is sending? List object address is send. Okay. So list one is sent to which one? Sort. Now what A is having now? Is it A is having address or object? Address. So A is having address of which object? List object. It means this list object is shared by how many functions? This list object is shared by how many functions? Two functions. One is a sort and one more is what? Main. So whenever you do changes in sort function, that changes are reflect to which function? Main function. Now whenever you say a of 0 is greater than a of 1, a of 0 means a of 0 is nothing but, is it referring to the list 1 or not? Yes. So if a of 0 is nothing but list 1 of 0 is greater than list 1 of 1, then these both are interchanged or not? Yes. So the changes which are done in this function is applicable to which function? Main function. Because you are not sending the list object, but you are sending address. There's no pass by value in Python. Okay. There's only pass by reference. Address. Whenever you send a variable, right? Whenever you send the object is not sent. Which one is sent? Object. Address is sent. Object is not sent. Which one is sent? Object address is sent. If the object what you send is a mutable, if the changes done in other function, that changes reflect to the function. Calling function. The changes done in the called function, that changes reflect to which function? Calling function. Okay. Yes. So after sorting, now this is before sorting. Format before sorting. So before sorting, I'm trying to display the list one. But I send here list one. But are you send any order here? No. Then what is the default order? Ascending. Then it execute which logic? Ascending logic. Okay. So this is after. Okay. After sorting. So this is a list one now in ascending order. And then list one. So sort list one. But I'm saying order equal to which order? Descending order. So I've given the value called descending. Now in this case, now how many values you have sent to? One is list one and one more is which one? Descending. So will it take the value as default or the value which is input? The value which is input. Which value is input here? Descending value input. Now what is the value? Descending. Then will it execute second logic or first logic? Second logic. Okay, now this is after sorting. This is after sorting. You are trying to display the list one. Now, once you run this, now this is before sorting. And this is after sorting in which order? Ascending order. And this is after sorting in which order? Descending order. After sorting in which order? Descending order. Sort is not a keyword here. Function name. There's no keyword called sort. Keyword list में sort है क्या यार? Sort is not a keyword. Who said sort is a keyword? Who said sort is a keyword? How many keywords are there in the Python? We have seen in the beginning, right? 30, 30, 34 or 35? 35 keywords, right? In that keyword, sort is there? No. Print is a keyword? No. Input is a keyword? No. Yes. So it is not a keyword here. Okay. You see the list. How can you see the list of keywords? Import what? Keyword. And then keyword dot, what you'll say? Keyword list. So these are the number of keywords. Is it any keyword called sort? No. There's no keyword called which one? Sort. Okay, right now there is no pass by value in Python. Now note is there here. So there is no pass by, there's no pass by value in Python. Okay. So whenever function is called by sending object, when function is called, when function is called by sending object, PVM, PVM, what it send? PVM send object object address object what? Address. So there is only pass by reference in Python. Okay. Not pass by. You cannot send object, but you can send, or you cannot send object, but you can send object address. You cannot send the object, but you can send the object address. You can send it. Without sort function, you sorted. Already I said here. So I am okay. Already I said, if you read daily notes, then you can understand here. Already I said how to sort it without using sort. List is provided which method? Sort method. There is also one function called sorted. Okay, na? Did I explain or not? Huh? So if you read notes, then you understand. Otherwise, now, this is how you are trying to do it. Then you can write a function with the default arguments. Default arguments are optional arguments. And next is, you can also write a function with a, you can also write a function with which arguments? Variable length arguments. Variable length arguments are arbitrary arguments. You can call this as a variable length arguments or arbitrary arguments here. Variable length arguments or arbitrary arguments. So what is a variable length argument? One argument generally, one argument receive how many values? Only one value. One argument receive only one value. I cannot send more than one value. For example, if I'm writing a function one with an argument a, so how many values I can give it to the a? Only one value, right? So if I'm calling the function one, I send how many values? Only one value, but I cannot send more than one value. So what will happen if I run this? So what is the value of a here? 10. Okay. So if I call the function 1 again, if I call the function 1 again, okay, this time I call the function 1 by sending how many values? Two values. Can you call the function 1 by sending two values? No, because this function is having how many arguments? One argument. One argument receive only one value. But I want one argument should receive more than one value. Then go for variable length. Go for variable length argument. One argument I want to receive how many values? More than one value. Okay, then use which arguments? Variable length arguments. Okay, so this is also like in application development. This is also very much useful. Very much useful in application development to avoid redundancy code, to avoid repetition of code. You are using variable length argument. For example, in my application, I want to find, suppose, I want to write a function to add two numbers. I want to write a function to add two numbers. Then I'll write, there is a function called add two. What is the name of the function? Add two. And this function required how many inputs here? Two inputs. One is A and one more is a B. So this will receive how many values here? Two values, and add it and display, return it. But this function is able to add how many numbers? Only two numbers. For example, my application event required to add how many numbers? Three numbers. Okay, my application required to add two numbers as well as what? Three numbers. Then is it two? Add two will work or doesn't work? Doesn't work because it will add only two numbers. Then what do you do it? You write another function. And what is the name of this function? Add three. And this add three function receive how many values now? Three values. A comma B comma C. This function add how many numbers? Three numbers. A plus B plus A plus B plus C. Then return which value? D value. Return D value. Okay, now this add 2 will add two numbers and add 3 will add how many numbers? Three numbers. But my application required even to add four numbers. Then will it, these two functions works or doesn't work? Doesn't work. Then what will I do? I'll write another function called add 4. Add 4. A comma B comma C comma D. Now this function is able to add how many numbers? Four numbers. Okay. Now if you see all these functions, if you see all these three functions, is it doing same operation? Yes. Operation is what here? Same. But this will receive how many values? Two values. This will receive how many values? Three values. This will receive four values. If it is five values, I should write another function. If it is n values, I should write n number of functions. Is it that becomes very complex or not? Yes. To avoid that, instead of writing number of functions with number of arguments, instead of writing number of functions with number of arguments, what you are doing it? You are writing, instead of writing number of functions with number of arguments, you are writing only one function. You are writing only one function with one argument, and that one argument should receive how many values? Number of values. Then you write that function with which argument? Key variable length argument. So variable length argument is prefixed with what here? Star. Now this function will receive how many values? N number of values. This function will receive how many values? N number of values. So you don't require to write number of functions with number of arguments when it is performing similar operation. Instead of writing number of functions with number of arguments, you write only one function with one argument, and that one argument receive more than one value. So this could be a situation where you go for which arguments? Variable length argument. Okay. Yes, this is also very much useful in application development, right? Most of the aggregate functions are there, no, like maximum, minimum. Maximum is one function that will find the max of two values, one value, three value, four values, or n values. But how many maximum functions are there? Only one. With how many arguments? Only one. But that will receive how many values? Number of values. That will receive how many values? Here, number of values it receives it. Okay. So anyway, we'll talk about this, like how to work with variable length arguments and keyword arguments. But not today, but tomorrow we'll discuss that, right? So today we'll stop here and tomorrow we'll continue this. Thank you.